The Skeptic Zone is brought to you by Dr. Bob's Trivia Quiz. Visit drbobsquiz.wordpress.com and see if you can match wits with Dr. Bob.
Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason. Here are your hosts, Richard Saunders and Stefan Sojka.
Hello, Richard.
Hello, Stefan.
It's lovely to see you after all these weeks and months and years. I haven't seen you for ages.
It's been at least weeks and months and years.
It has been,
really
depending on what planet you're on.
It's nice to be back here at Sirius headquarters.
Oh, yes, it certainly is. And I'm even getting a bit of a disembodied Maynard sensation going on here.
Really?
I'm hearing Maynard's voice in the background, and yet Maynard's sitting right in front of us.
Here I am.
Oh, you're back again.
Look, it's all happening here. I've been in a real recording studio doing real things, and now I'm doing this.
In an unreal recording studio.
And that's right, folks. Maynard is visiting Sirius media conglomerate, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Global reach outwork.
Global home office.
Home office. To do some voiceover work, and we're taking the opportunity to do the introduction to the Skeptic Zone, which is episode number 318 for the 23rd of November. It's nearly December, which means it's nearly January.
318. I think the last one intro I did was the show 300. So what the hell's been going on for 18 weeks?
I don't know. We came around here that you just weren't answering the door. You were so busy.
I kept hearing the doorbell go, but I was paranoid.
You're paranoid?
Yeah, because I went to a psychic and they said, don't open the door.
Well, that'll do it. I mean, you're not going to have a bad experience if you don't open the door.
That's right.
Unless it's the guy with the lottery winning tickets.
Oh, no!
We're from the lottery agents, and you've won...
I won Keno last night.
What?
Keno, which is, for those who are overseas, it's like you go to the local club and you pick your numbers. And
yeah.
It's like a lottery that runs every 2 minutes. And, I won $25. Yeah, I spent $50 on tickets. But I felt like a winner.
It all makes sense.
Oh, yes.
Now, for our listeners, some big news coming up. Later on in the show, I'm going to be chatting to Eran Segev, who is, and he and the committee from the Australian Skeptics have been putting together the big convention.
Oh, yes.
It's only a week away.
He was just here a few minutes ago.
He was indeed. And the big news for our listeners, of course, is most of the Skeptic Zone crew will be at the convention, so you can come up and meet Stefan, me, Maynard, Joe Alabaster, Dr. H, and Eran will all be there.
Oh. And you can answer questions, as I'm going to be talking to as many people as possible, so don't be scared to come up and start a conversation. In fact, you bring your agenda to me and we'll do something with it.
That sounds good to me.
Nothing like it. Yeah, don't hide your agenda.
No agenda.
Never hide your agenda. So that's coming up. That's very exciting. One more week to the big Australian National Convention. But we have a bit of a bumper episode this week, Stefan and Maynard.
You certainly do.
In fact, it's a bit... Speaking of Maynard, speaking of spooky action, this is spooky action not at a distance. You and I, tonight... we'll be going on a ghost tour.
And I'm really quite nervous about this. I'm quite concerned. I am a suggestible and nervous person. I'm not looking forward. I'm just doing this because you want me to do it, basically. I don't really want to do it, and I'm scared. I'm really scared. I'm someone who spends a lot of time on their own in the dark. So I'm like, yeah, see, exactly. Even him going, that's scaring me.
Oh, Maynard, don't be scared. Don't be scared. As I frequently tell you, ghosts are scared of me. So with me in tow and our friend Alethea, ghosts are going to be scared of her too.
Okay, well, she's pretty feisty.
She is very feisty. Anyway, that's coming up. We haven't done it yet. By the time the show comes out, and it's all mixed in the future, which will be the past, and we've gone through all this so many times, Maynard and I on the ghost tour. That's coming up at the top of the show.
Looking forward to that one.
And then after that, we've got a week in science, of course, from RiAus, the Royal Institution of Australia. And then we're going to look at predictions, mystical predictions from Australia's top psychics for the year 2014.
Oh, yes, because we're coming towards the tail end. They haven't got long to go to squeeze all those predictions
That's right.
in.
So they've made all these predictions at the end of last year. What would happen this year? We're going to mark their homework.
Oh, yes. Don't they usually do quite well because they're so unspecific that you can sort of pin anything on it?
Only in the mirror universe, I think. Where everything's back to front, you might say they do quite well.
Well, let's find out. I'm really looking forward. That's actually a big bumper thing for each year because we've been doing that for a while now. Did we make any predictions ourselves?
I'm trying to remember. We probably did, but I keep forgetting because they normally don't come true.
I can remember earlier in the year asking people at Skeptics in the Pub.
Right.
And I know some of their predictions have come true already.
Ooh.
Goodness me.
We're going to have to check the archives of the Skeptic Zone to find out what those predictions were. But
and the flowers started blooming in spring. That was my prediction.
Oh, no.
Yeah, in autumn. I said, I reckon somewhere around September, the flowers are going to start blooming. Birds are going to start singing. And it all happened.
It sounds like a song. You could write a song about this. Anyway, after all that, we've got a new segment.
A new one?
It's Maynard's book. What is it? Maynard's Bookworm Corner.
Look, it's a gold-plated title. Maynard's Bookworm Corner.
Maynard's going to be reviewing a book.
Literature.
Yes.
Ooh. I read a book, and I think people should know about that. If I'm making the effort, so should you.
What's the book you're reviewing, Maynard?
It is Question Everything. It's a book that has come from the back of the New Scientist magazine, where readers write in and ask a question one week, and then in the next edition of the magazine, another reader answers their questions. So, it's questions and answers about all fields of science.
That's pretty good.
It's a good book. Fascinating book. So, Maynard and I had lunch the other day at the Crate in Glebe.
At the Record Crate?
Record Crate.
In Glebe Point Road. Uncle Neville showed us a few of his records there, and he's got Frank Zappa and Spy vs. Spy, Hunters and Collectors and Big Pig all in the same record shop.
Is that the shop that has gigs upstairs?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Oh, I went to a gig up there and I thought, wow, there was totally packed.
Yeah.
It was like people packed in up the stairs.
Well, because it's just like an old terrace house. It's upstairs at an old terrace house with no furniture.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place. But after that, Maynard and I go down to Paddy's Market, where Maynard's going to be interviewing Joanne Thompson, who runs a New Age store.
Ooh.
Yeah. Every now and then Maynard chats to New Age type people to find out where they're coming from and what their take is and why they do it. And so a little chat with Joanne Thompson from the
That'll
Paddy's
be
Market.
interesting. Well, we are in a new age.
We are.
We're the internet age.
The internet age? The space age? Well, that's not so new.
Space age.
It's newish, I suppose.
Well, yeah, we're in a bunch of new ages, really, when you think about it.
Look, she had a great collection of rocks I wanted to know about.
She did. Tumble locks.
Yeah, they were tumbled rocks. Yeah. So
Anyway, she's a really lovely lady, and every now and then when I'm in Paddy's Markets, I drop by and say hello. I think the first time I met her was at years ago at another New Age fair, and I just struck up a conversation. Said, "What are you selling? How's it going?" That's all coming up on this week's show.
It'd be great to hear from her.
It will be. That's coming up on this week's show. Oh, I'm tired already.
I'm exhausted just reading through what's coming up. Now we're going to actually listen to it all.
And I tell you, I'm going to be spooked at the cemetery tonight. I'm going to be I could be genuinely pooping myself.
You could be. Stefan might remember this. My very original mini DVD camera has a night vision.
It
switch.
does too.
Yeah,
I remember that.
So I'm going to take, and I've got it out of the cupboard yesterday. Haven't used it for about 6 years. It still works. So I'm going to be recording
still works.
Ghost Night Vision tonight.
It's interesting how technology sometimes leave out some of the best features when they upgrade their models, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great feature. It can film completely in the dark. It's really fun. Yeah. Anyway, I've got an idea. While you and I and Maynard run downstairs and have some peanut butter sandwiches,
Well, hey.
if we can find the bread.
Well, peanut butter in a spoon might work.
That will do.
Yeah.
We'll let our listeners enjoy the Skeptic Zone.
Show 318.
Whoops.
Join Maynard, Alethea Dean, and myself, Richard Saunders, as we investigate ghosts at the Field of Mars Cemetery with Ghost Hunters Down Under at ghdu.com.au. This is the first part of a two-part report. The second part will be next week. In this part, we start our ghost adventure and listen very closely to the spirit box. Do we hear communications from the other side? Come with us now.
Cub reporter Maynard here. I'm speaking to you outside the entrance to the Field of Mars Cemetery. It's around about... What time is it, Richard Saunders?
It's time I went to bed. No, it's just after 8 o'clock.
I'm pretty full of trepidation, but someone who's just right into this would be Alethea. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
So you've been here on this before?
Yes, I've been here with this group before, and they were a lovely bunch of people, very enthusiastic, and I mentioned my friend at the Australian Skeptics might be interested in coming along, and Richard was, so...
Yeah. And we've seen some bunny rabbits already.
Some spooky bunny rabbits.
Okay. When was the last time you went on a ghost tour, Richard?
About 5 years ago. I think it was at a place called Picton, which is west of Sydney. But let's set the scene for the listeners here. We're standing at the gates of this cemetery, and it's getting quite dark now, but we can still look beyond the gates into the cemetery, and there's just gravestones as far as the eye can see, and trees, really, and yes, the occasional rabbit.
You keep saying ghost tour, but we have to be clear this is a ghost investigation. We are going to be investigating how haunted the cemetery is, and also capturing some EVP and possibly some images.
Right.
Well, we're set. I've got my lovely still camera here, which I've been using just now, and I've got my video camera, which has night vision.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Cass. On the spot. On the spot, yes. As you can see, I'm quite different. I'm dressed different as everyone else. Pretty much the experiment for tonight is to see if they can see me and if I provoke them in any way, because I once dressed up quite Victorian Gothic. It was for an event in Parramatta, and I got called numerous names from, pardon my language, a whore to psycho, you name it. So we're trying to see if, again, something will happen in this cemetery with the way I'm dressed.
Let's hope nothing too extreme.
Yeah, let's hope nothing too extreme, yes.
I just need a few tears and then I'll be set.
Now, there's a few people on the tour. What's your name?
My name's Tia.
Tia, now is this your first tour?
It is my first tour.
And why are you here?
Because my friend Nicole dragged me along. No. She mentioned it, and I've always been into this stuff, and I thought it would be really, really fun.
Now, when you say into this stuff, you mean watching ghost stories, you like watching documentaries, what do you mean?
Yeah, Ghost Hunters International. Yeah, no, I really like paranormal activities and stuff like that, and my whole family's into doing that, and I was the only one who could come today, so...
are you any sort of intuitive?
I'd like to say that I am, but I'm probably not.
Now, anyone who's scared about going on this?
No, not really. I'm more anxious to see what happens, but not really scared.
Okay, well, let's go. Not something I normally do on a Saturday night, hang around a graveyard and ride, but I've got to say, I'm finding it remarkably relaxing. It's very peaceful here, and looking at the graves and looking at people's stories, it's a historical visit as well. Well, Richard, we're about 15 minutes into our tour here. There's bats flying over Ryde Cemetery. We're currently near the war grave section, and I can see in the distance some of the Greek graves are lit up at night. They have solar lights, they've got candles burning there, and it's very visually poetic.
You know it is, and even though there's no moon tonight, because we're in Sydney, there's no lights here, but the glow of the city around us means that we can actually make out most of the gravestones around us. But it's so quiet. So quiet.
It really is my first time in a graveyard at night. That may surprise you, considering my interaction with the goth world.
I've been in a few at night time, but I must admit this one has got a certain atmosphere about it. But it's such a still night, isn't it?
That's part of it. Yeah, there's no wind blowing, and we've got the palm trees set starkly silhouetted against the sky. We had fireworks going off in the distance earlier.
Did. And there are so many graves here. We're just hundreds and thousands of graves that we're in the middle of, And our tour group's just down there below us a little way.
And our tour guide won't come near the spirit box. We're going to go to where they're doing the EVPs, the electronic voice phenomenon that picks up off-frequency radio noises and white noise, and she won't go near them. It says it drains her to be near them.
She said that, but that's her call. If she wants to hang back, she can do that.
Can I just ask you about your feelings about EVP and spirit boxes? You said that they drain you. Does that mean you just feel all the energy go out of you when you hear them or when you're near the event? Or
Well, when I'm near the spirit boxes, it kind of drains me a little bit. But when something's trying to come through the spirit boxes, it drains me completely. It's like all my energy is absorbed by whatever it is trying to get through. And, hello. Sorry?
You just saw something then, did you?
Yes, I have a little someone standing right beside me. It's a little boy, he's about 6.
I might...
Playing with my torch.
Wow. Well, it is something kids would like to play with.
Yeah, that's very true indeed.
Well, I might go and have a look at the EVPs then, and you're going to stay here?
Yeah, I'll stay around here.
Okay.
I'll find someone to talk to, Paulie.
You just mentioned the spirit box there, and I heard tonight that there's a new model of the spirit box out or something. Is that what they were talking about? There was a little bit of excitement among some people because there's different models. What does that mean?
No much different. It still does the same thing. It pretty much goes from through a high frequency radio stations, and through that the spirits can actually communicate by getting bits and pieces of words from the different radio stations.
And not many people might be aware that with EVPs they come in classes too. A Class A EVP is one where you can quite clearly hear words. Is that the way it works?
Exactly, yeah. So Class A EVP is pretty much when you can actually spot on, hear and understand what was said. Then there's B Class EVPs, and that's... You can make out that there's something there, or even like a word, but not a full sentence. And then C Class is maybe a grunt or a whisper or a sigh or something.
This is going to be a two-part.
Well, Richard, we're wandering towards what they were calling the freshies, I believe is the terminology, which is people who are more recently buried.
Yeah, how fresh is fresh, Maynard? I wonder. But yes, the recently departed, we should say, the fresh graves.
And I believe they're using a spirit box there, which is the EVP machine that rapidly fires through a whole bunch of frequencies on the radio spectrum, creating samples from radio stations and a mixture of white noise.
Yeah, and from that they can extrapolate, possible messages, so they say.
I guess you would say audio pareidolia.
Audio pareidolia.
Are you in this area? Have you been interned in this area, Steve?
Sorry, buried actually. Yeah, he was buried. Like Wyatt, the new ones. Yeah. Okay. We asked him his surname, and he said Harris. And then we looked on the grave, he was standing in front of us, and it said Steve Harsis, H-A-R-S-A-S.
And then a lady came through.
Yeah, and said hello.
And she said hello.
And then girls giggling.
Yeah, and there were girls giggling.
There seems to be a lot more over here. Can we get a hi from someone?
Now, that's the sound we're getting from a spirit box. How have you found your experience using the spirit box tonight?
I was really, really intrigued. Really intrigued because we did get some replies back to what we asked.
And definite replies, like not just... Because there's a lot of stuff that comes through that you can't make head nor tail of.
And that kind of freaked me out a bit. How are you with that?
Excited.
Oh, okay.
The Steve thing, we didn't... We were standing away from the graves and we got a Steve, and then this lady said there's a Steve up here. So we didn't even know there was a Steve buried there when it come through. And,
Oh, right. Yeah, so you asked definite questions, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. This is what I've been asking you, Paddy. I've been asking everyone this. We're here on this tour. Is there a question you would ask someone that appears to be from another realm that would give you an answer that you go, oh, right, now I know what it's all about? If you could ask one question and get a definite answer, what would it be?
What's it like?
Okay. Would you have one?
Are you happy?
Yeah. Oh, lots, I suppose, but what's it like?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's your hen party here tonight.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, and how's it been so far?
It's been really good. I heard a child before, and then Ellen's heard it too.
Oh.
And I had to ask, was there any homes, how far away the homes are around here in case it carried on the winds, but so...
And tell me, how's your night been tonight?
Yeah, it's been really cool. I'm pretty sure I saw an orb and there was something in the house over there, something tall, really tall, and it didn't like us being there, and it doesn't like wood.
Just describe the orb for a moment. We normally see them in photos as sort of something hanging in the air like dust. What is it?
It was down mid-calf height and a little bit smaller than a basketball, spherical, obviously.
Was it glowing?
It was glowing silver, and it was definitely there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Doing this kind of thing, it'd be nice to find an answer to something. But what question would you ask if you could get one question answered and you go, right, that's what it's all about? What would that question be?
What's out there?
Hey, Richard, I've been asking everyone else this question. I didn't think I might as well ask you. I've been asking people if they could get one question answered or if they could find out something from other people that appear to be in another realm. Would you ask a question? Is there a question you'd like answered?
No. I think we need to find our own answers, Maynard.
Okay.
In next week's report, we round off our ghost investigation adventure and try our luck with the Ouija board. A quick thank you to all those wonderful people who chipped in a little bit over the last couple of weeks to help the Skeptic Zone buy a new iPad. Fantastic. Thank you once again. Very generous of you. Together we did it. And if you want to subscribe to the Skeptic Zone, chip in a little bit every week. It really does help. Just visit www.skepticzone.tv and look for the PayPal link. Thank you again.
On Maynard.com.au. This is a time where Tim Ferguson speaks truth to power. Tim Ferguson's right of reply. What's been sticking in your craw?
The Pope. I mean, normally I wouldn't go saying things against the Pope because he seems like a very kindly man. This Pope got everybody in the inner city in glee saying, wow, what a guy. Like he says, it's great that gay people can be gay. They're welcome in the church. People can be murderers. You know, that's okay.
I actually heard him described as the atheist's Pope. And what? Do people know what that means?
Yeah, atheists have to take a long, hard look at themselves. In fact, not too long, not too hard, because a lot of atheists really aren't much to look at, which is part of the reason why they don't trust God.
On Maynard.com.au.
Welcome to A Week in Science from RiAus, bringing you the science you need to know. Brad Pitt, Ryan Gosling and Jensen Button, the sexiest men, all have one thing in common: facial hair. But what is it about a beard that drives us wild? Guys, I'm not joking. There have been studies which have found a link between facial hair and sexual attractiveness. In a 2013 study, researchers found that women thought men with heavy stubble were more attractive than clean-shaven or full-bearded men. When it came to rating a face for an impression of parenting ability, however, the full beard came out on top. Test subjects were shown pictures of men at different stages of beard growth, so the results weren't skewed by one man being more attractive than the rest. Similar results were found in a 2008 study, but it also depends on the girl. Some of us like the whiskers, others not so much. So, should you rush out for that facial hair transplant? Yeah, that's a thing. Well, it's not quite that clear-cut. While the research has shown that stubble is most attractive, more is not always better. Beards aren't necessarily more attractive than a clean face. Several studies have actually shown that the impression of aggressiveness increases with the amount of beard. Another study found that as beards become more common, they become less attractive, in the same way that clean-shaven was less attractive when it was more common and more attractive when it was rare. It seems then that preferences change depending on what's fashionable and how many people have facial hair. So, if you want to impress the ladies, then think about what's on your face and what's on everyone else's. And now, 4 fast facts about the sexual attractiveness of beards. One theory of why stubble may be more attractive than clean-shaven or full beard is that men may be signalling that they're not overly masculine but are sexually mature with the potential to grow a full beard. A woman's preference for facial hair changes only slightly depending on her hormonal, reproductive and relationship status. In experiments, women with partners that were clean-shaven judged clean-shaven faces as most attractive, whereas women with partners with heavy stubble judged heavy stubble as most attractive. And on top of all that, beards increased men's apparent age and social status compared to those with a clean-shaven face. That's it for This Week in Science. For more information on the sexual attraction of facial hair, go to the RiAus website, riaus.org.au. Follow us on Twitter at RiAus and like us on Facebook. I'm Tania Meyer and we'll catch you next week.
Hi, I'm Finn. And I'm Rebecca. And we're the Skepticons. Skepticons is an Irish podcast by the Dublin Skeptics Society. It takes a conversational, irreverent look at science, news and skeptical topics from an Irish perspective. You can find us at www.theskepticons.com.
You're always spirit with your strong finance.
For almost 10 years, the Australian Psychics Directory, now called the International Psychics Directory, has published an annual magazine by the same name. I have quite a few back issues here. The last published edition was about this time last year with Sally Morgan on the cover. The magazines have stories about psychics, mostly advertising, I think. Well, a mixture of advertising. Well, lots of advertising, in fact, when I look at the back cover, including the famous little-known psychic humiliates skeptics with her amazingly accurate insider knowledge of life, love, and success. I've yet to meet this little-known psychic. She certainly hasn't humiliated any skeptics I know, but never mind about that. One of the things that they do in this magazine every year is they publish a section called Tomorrow's News Today, Top Predictions for the Coming Year. Now, for many years I've been marking their homework, so to speak, and so far, of all the predictions in all these magazines over the year, to average them all out, the success rate is about 5%. If you want to put it the other way, it's 95% wrong. More or less, give or take, open to argument. It's very tricky to mark predictions sometimes because a lot of them are vague, a lot of them are open to interpretation. But being generous, it's about a 95% failure rate. But let's turn to the International Psychics Directory, as the one last year was called, and let's see what predictions were made for this year, for 2014. Prediction number 1.
Indonesia to be hit by a large earthquake and minor tsunami in May or June 2014. This will not impact Bali. There will be another big storm with some flooding affecting New York in mid-year, but not as large as the storm of late 2012. Elizabeth Jensen.
A magnitude 6 earthquake did strike Sumatra in Indonesia on the 18th of May at a depth of 35 kilometres. There's nothing reported for June. There were some storm activities in New York, but nothing out of the ordinary. Prediction number 2.
Hawaii to suffer another large volcanic eruption mid-year. Heather Alexander.
In June this year, new vents did open up on the northeast flank of one of the volcanoes in Hawaii. There was some lava flow, but this does happen from time to time and is not particularly unexpected. Prediction number 3.
We will continue to see regular extreme weather conditions from January through to April, with mini tornado activity and heavy rains on the eastern seaboard of Australia, from the Capricornia coast down to Wollongong. Jade Sky.
A normal range of weather events were reported. No mini tornadoes. Prediction number 4.
Earthquakes will be experienced in major cities around Australia in February-March 2014. The quakes in Western Australia will be the most severe. There will be warnings so people can prepare for these events. Dr. Mariah Rose Kiss.
Totally wrong. And earthquakes normally occur without warning. It's the aftershocks you can expect, but the earthquake itself is generally a surprise. Prediction number 5.
Dredging in the Great Barrier Reef will be put to a halt by the power of the people. Debbie Malone.
As reported in November, the government says it will ban dredge spoil dumping in the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, but environment groups have raised concerns. Does this fit the prediction? Maybe. It could be. You might be generous. I'll be generous and I'll give it half a point. Prediction number 6.
There appears to be an increase in deaths for boat people trying to reach Australia. Elizabeth Jensen.
Now, this prediction is absolutely wrong because there are hardly any, if any at all, boat people now reaching Australia due to a change of government and government policy. The rights and wrongs about this we can debate another time, but the fact is that asylum seekers are not drowning on the way to Australia. Well, not between Indonesia and Australia. It's debatable, maybe some have struck trouble on the way from their respective countries to Indonesia before getting to Australia, but I think the gist of this prediction is totally wrong. Prediction number 7.
By the end of 2014, Tony Abbott will reduce the national debt, but will break the back of ordinary Australians doing it. There will be a period where his own party will try to replace him, but a powerful and wealthy ally will back him. Juanita.
This was the stated aim of Tony Abbott, so it's hardly a good prediction, or hardly a meaningful prediction, and the rest is simply open to argument or is wrong. Prediction number 8.
The Australian government will have to do some big backpedalling around February-March 2014 to do with international trade and relations with Indonesia. There may be big conflicts around Easter time, with travel warnings in place for Australians travelling to Indonesia and related areas. Jade Sky.
Hardly surprising prediction this, because it was very much in the news towards the end of last year, the troubles that our current government had with the government of Indonesia. This is merely extrapolating that information. A psychic prediction should be a mystical insight, something that people couldn't know by other means. So I'm going to have to give this one a big fat failure. Prediction number 9.
New strategies will be put into place to improve our medical system, especially the mental health sector. Australia's education system will undergo a major overhaul to improve the level of academic standards nationally. Francis Bevan.
This prediction falls flat on both counts. Prediction number 10.
Tony Abbott will lose face with both the Indonesian government and the Australian people by not following through with his asylum seeker policies. Travel to Indonesia will become unsafe to Australian travellers due to these issues. Debbie Malone.
Absolutely incorrect. Well, all right, Tony Abbott has lost face in Australia. Prime Ministers often do. But he stuck to his guns, rightly or wrongly, on the whole immigration question. Prediction number 11.
Minor earthquakes in Japan and Tokyo, but not on the same scale as the 2011 quakes. Elizabeth Jensen.
This is a prediction that's almost guaranteed to come true every year. Prediction number 12.
Politics settle and tourists return to Egypt from late 2014. Their economy will improve in 2015. Elizabeth Jensen.
Although Egypt hasn't been in the news much lately, I don't think the politics have settled at all. It's possible that some people are returning to Egypt once again for tourism matters, but it's hardly the tourist mecca it once was. We hope the situation will improve. Prediction number 13.
There will be further unrest in the Middle East, and extremists will take action that will leave everyone shocked. It will rival or equal the events of the 9/11 World Trade Center. Juanita.
Well, this is really open to interpretation. Of course, we've had the Islamic State doing horrible things, but would you say that's worse than 9/11? It's one of the problems with these vague predictions. I mean, you could look at it that way, or you might not look at it that way. I would have thought that a mystical insight would have said Islamic State and mentioned the horrors that they were and are perpetrating. So to me, this just doesn't cut the mustard. Prediction number 14.
Further mass shootings across America result in some compromise between the gun lobby and the current administration. As a result, new gun reforms will be implemented. Susie Cherub.
Well, the first part of this prediction is sadly predictable, and the second part is simply wrong. Sadly, it's wrong. Prediction number 15.
Cooperation between the USA and EU is going to be much stronger as a free trade agreement is finalised quickly. Denise Batuk.
The free trade agreement is still under negotiations. Fail. Prediction number 16.
Chaos ensues when an American city, perhaps two, are shut down with no electricity for days. Rhonda Robertson.
I can't find any reports that would fit this bill. No. Prediction number 17.
More women in general are set to rise politically and become world leaders. Hillary Clinton is one who will lead the way, with New Zealand also electing a female Prime Minister in the near future. Harry T.
The first part of this prediction is absolutely expected, and the second part is absolutely wrong. Prediction number 18.
Johnny Depp is turning 51 this year, and this may be a factor in his new philanthropic attitude. Fundraising for and giving to the hungry is to become his new passion, and the media will lionise him for his efforts. Jeffrey Hunt.
Johnny Depp supports many worthy charities and has done so for years. There's nothing surprising here. Prediction 19.
There will be an explosion of feel-good and comedy films, and a new breed of young gentle heroes doing peaceful demonstrations in their thousands. Some people in high places will change their way of thinking. All over the world, powerful and inspiring messages of love and hope will be passed on through modern music. Kowena Gordon.
This is pretty close to being word salad. This is hardly a prediction you could put your finger on. Not impressed. Prediction number 20.
A new album from Brisbane band Shepherd will produce at least 2 top 10 hits. There will be a number of chart-making new releases from Oz music icons of the 80s and 90s. A new album from the Veronicas will receive mixed reviews but be a commercial success. Leela Williams.
Shepherd had one hit, so the first part's a fail, and the new album from the Veronicas is yet to be put out, so it's still open. Prediction 21.
A serious health scare for actor Robin Williams will make headlines. He will become a spokesperson for this particular condition, raising awareness and millions of dollars in donations. A member of the Rolling Stones makes his final farewell. Narelle Skur.
The first part is a fail for me because Robin Williams committed suicide. All right, yes, there could be some raised awareness of what he was suffering from, but the gist of the prediction is completely wrong. And the second part about the Rolling Stones is also just wrong. Prediction 22.
Kate and William are likely to announce a new pregnancy. At the same time, plans for Charles to take over from his mother will further put the spotlight on the royals. Queen Elizabeth may do the unthinkable and agree to abdication so that her eldest son can stop growing tomatoes. Simon Turnbull.
Well, the last published prediction that I know of by Simon Turnbull. If we look back over the years, this whole theme of the Queen abdicating or stepping down in some respect has been quite common with Simon's predictions. He seems to predict it almost every year. So, the Queen doesn't. I don't think she ever will. Another fail for Simon. And the first part about William and Catherine expecting, or likely to expect, well, that was expected. I'm sorry Simon Turnbull's no longer with us, but his predictions in this case do not impress me. Prediction 23.
The Australian dollar will rise and progressively grow stronger throughout 2014. The euro will struggle throughout the year, and there will be riots across Europe due to frustration with unemployment, poverty and uncertainty. The American stock market will take a dive and come close to a crash in 2014. Susie Cherub.
A little bit vague and around the edges, but the main thrust of the predictions here were completely wrong. Prediction 24.
Scientists will develop a new technology using sand. Mark Paul.
What? Huh? Okay, not much I can do with that prediction. Sand? Prediction 25.
An Australian scientist is likely to discover a new treatment for cancer, bringing new hope to many people. One solution to the high cost of the treatment may be found through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Heather Alexander.
Well, apart from being a little vague, or you might say that this sort of thing happens almost every year, someone will find something which helps people in the field of cancer research. The second part appears to be wrong as far as I know, unless Bill and Melinda Gates have donated a substantial amount to cancer research, which they may well have done. I'm not sure about that. But not an impressive prediction. Well, if we round them all up, average them out, give and take, open to interpretation, surprisingly, it still comes out to be around about 95% wrong. There were a few in there I gave half a point to, and others you might decide to give a point to or take a point away owing to interpretation. But I think you'd have to agree with me, it's largely a fail. Remember, most of what psychics predict doesn't happen, and most of what happens is not predicted by psychics.
Now, folks, I've been talking about the Australian Skeptics National Convention for months now, and it's hard to believe it's almost upon us. And I'm talking now with the president of Australian Skeptics and the man putting the convention together. You know him from a grain of salt. It's Eran Segev. Hello, Eran.
Hi, Richard.
Exciting. It's almost upon us.
Yes, it's exciting. It's exciting especially because, first of all, we have a great lineup of speakers. There's, I'm sure most of the listeners would know. It's coming along together really nicely. We are, in terms of our organizational tasks, we are ahead of schedule. So we expect a reasonably quiet last week. You know, usually we remember from Tamars.
Yeah.
The last week is the week where you don't sleep or eat. You just concentrate on the convention.
Right.
I think it's going to be a little bit better this time. I want to point. I really have to say. You know, you said the man putting it together.
Of course,
I do have to mention.
Yes.
Tim, Signet, Joe, and Josh.
Yes.
My co-conspirators. Everybody's working very hard, obviously, to make sure that this is a great success.
Oh, absolutely. The whole convention committee.
Yes.
And I remember from 4 years ago when you and I and some other people...
Rach and Joe.
Rach and Joe, of course. And Tim.
And
Tim were
Tim's
on
always
the TAM convention committee. It's a big ask. It's a lot of work. Now, TAM Australia, I thought, was a great success. And this one's shaping up to be just as great, isn't it?
Yeah, so we have some. I think the whole lineup is really fantastic. But if I could point out just a few highlights, then obviously we have the SGU giving 2 public recordings of the podcast. We have a fantastic panel on consumer protection. This is something that we have not traditionally focused on publicly, although obviously a lot of what we do is consumer protection, not public protection. A lot of it is consumer protection, but this is now a real focus. You know, we have an hour and a half long panel with some really leading highlights in consumer protection and moderated by Marsh from Merseyside Skeptics.
Cool, great.
So we'll have him giving a talk as well. We have Ken Frazier, who is the editor of the Skeptical Inquirer magazine, which is the one older skeptical magazine than our own.
That's right.
Yeah, so we'll have the 2 editors of the 2 oldest skeptical magazines in the room together.
That's quite good.
Yeah,
that's quite good.
Unfortunately, we've lost a couple of speakers recently. Sonia Pemberton, who was supposed to speak at the convention, had to go to the US and Africa. She's actually making a movie about Ebola.
It's pretty important work.
It is very important work, and she had to go. Obviously, this is not something that can wait. But we've replaced her with Dr. Grant Cawthorne, who is a specialist in infectious diseases and in Ebola in particular, and he will talk about Ebola. So, as Tim put it in as the title of the news item, Ebola out, Ebola in, Ebola in. so it's so I'm sure he'll be fantastic. We've seen him talk, and he's a great speaker. Unfortunately, we have not, as we record this, we have not yet made the public announcement. But Robin Williams will not be there. Robin has not been well, and he's undergoing treatment, and unfortunately will not be able to.
This is the science communicator from the ABC radio.
Yes, of course, not that Robin.
Not
Williams.
the other one.
It's the one who, after the other Robin Williams died, started the next radio show by saying, "This is Robin Williams still here."
Oh boy!
Yes. But he's not well, and last night we've spoken and we've decided to pull the plug on it because we were not sure that he'd be well enough.
Well, these things happen leading up to with so many guests coming, with so many top speakers, national and international speakers. You're going to get.
Yes, but we
odd little changes.
But we've always had our list of speakers was always a little bit longer than could fit into we've already replaced Robin, because with Robin we kind of knew that it might happen. We've put another speaker into the program, so we're now going back to the original schedule. Okay. It's a little bit less congested. But it's still a full day program.
It's fantastic. Now tickets are still available, of course.
Yes.
If people go to convention.skeptics.com.au, all the details of the convention.
Everything is there. Ticket sales will continue, and they will actually continue through the convention as well. If people walk up to the door and want to buy tickets, they will be able to. We also have day tickets available, both online and will be available at the convention itself. Dinner tickets, on the other hand, we will, by the time this goes on air, we will have closed the sales. We are almost sold out of the dinner tickets. We didn't expect the dinner to be such a huge success.
Fantastic.
We'll have 300 people, which is the limit of the room basically, or I think we'll have 295 or something. This is where we're going to close it.
Wow.
So it's going to be really amazing, and we have well over 400 delegates at the convention,
great stuff.
And so it's really fantastic. We're very happy with the way.
Well, let's see if we can boost that number, folks. This is it. This is the last week. If you're thinking about coming to the convention, it's just going to be so many top speakers, so many skeptics to meet and mingle with. SGU just to kick things off, of course. George Harab, the list goes on and on. And I'm sure it'll be a busy time for us all.
Yes, thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you, Eran, and we'll see you at the convention.
See you there.
Here's Maynard's spooky action at a distance.
As you can hear, the groove is happening, and we're here at the Record Crate in Glebe Point Road. Richard Saunders, how are you? And welcome to Maynard's Bookworm Corner.
Maynard's Bookworm Corner. I'm doing much better, Maynard. As you know, you guest hosted last week, of course, because I couldn't speak. I'm on the mend, and I've just had a nice lunch here at the Record Crate.
Yeah, I got this call sort of a little bit later on a Sunday night. I thought, hello, it's a booty call on a Sunday night. Is that who I think it is? Oh, no, it's Richard Saunders. And your voice was just about gone.
It was. In fact, after that, it was truly gone. And it's taken me some days to even get this good. So I'm glad you were there to fill in.
Like I said, you were the throat that dare not speak its name.
That's right, I was.
But back to Maynard's Bookworm Corner here. I thought I'd mention this book because I know there'll be a few listeners to the Skeptic Zone that may be interested in this. It's on Profile Books. It's released on the New Scientist label, and it's called Question Everything. It's basically the section in the end of the magazine where readers write in and they ask a question that is answered by another reader the week after. Are you aware of that section of New Scientist?
Actually, I'm not, Maynard. I'm glad you brought this to my attention. It looks like a great book, and it's a great book to kick off the new segment, maybe the semi-regular segment, with Maynard's Book Corner here.
Well, I only read 2 books, American Psycho and this one. That's it.
Oh, and you haven't even finished this one.
I haven't even finished this one. But look, there's many sections we've got in here, and I thought I'm going to go straight for the alcohol section. Interesting question here from Frank Arnhem of Amsterdam in the Netherlands. I'm just wondering if Arnhem is actually a place, so maybe they've got it mixed up. But anyway, it's Frank Arnhem, so he's named after the place. Anyway, Frank Arnhem asks a question about absinthe. He writes, absinthe was supposed to have hallucinogenic effects due to the presence of extracts of the wormwood plant and has been banned in some countries at various times. Does this wormwood effect really exist? Of course, I was drawn to this question. And look, there's a couple of pages of answers, but I think the best one comes from, who wrote this one? Anthony David of London in the UK, and he wrote, the history of absinthe is so fraught with urban legend and conflicting interests that no categorical answer to the question can be trusted, Richard.
It sounds like a good answer to me. I mean, last time I had absinthe, I don't really remember what the question was to begin with.
It's an interesting drink. It's usually served best over ice while watching something you shouldn't on the television.
I think you're right. I think I enjoyed it. I seem to remember I enjoyed it, but it was a long time ago.
Well, so have a look at that book. It's got lots of answers to questions that you might not have thought of or you know the answer to. Look, there's one about atomic mushrooms there. This summer our high school visited the museums at Hiroshima about the American attack on Japan with the atomic bomb. We heard stories from survivors and saw pictures of the destruction. I wondered why the nuclear bomb always makes a mushroom-shaped cloud. Now, that's a physics question, that one.
Well, I've never seen one, of course, but I've seen plenty of historical archival footage of mushroom clouds.
Any large for anything's going to make a mushroom cloud because it gets sucked up and eventually it gets to the top and billows out once it's outside the vortex.
It's something I don't give much thought to, but I guess you're right.
So have a look to that. And there's all sorts of questions. That's Question Everything. I think that's available through Allen and Unwin in Australia, and it's originally published on Profile Books.
Thank you, Maynard. That was an excellent little review. It looks like a great book. It says best-selling New Scientist series, over 2 million copies sold.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's a pretty popular section in the back of New Scientist. Well, I think while we're here in the Record Crate in Glebe, and if you are dropping into the Record Crate in Glebe, it's just opposite Bad Manners Cafe in Glebe Point Road in Sydney. Say hello to Uncle Neville, who's hanging out the back there. It's all original vinyl. It's actually a cafe, but it sells vinyl. And on the wall...
Walls are covered with it, yeah.
Yeah, well, look, I can see just some artists that I'm a fan of. There's Elvis Costello over there, the Sugar Cubes, Jackie Wilson. There's even a Klaatu album, a Sting album. That's one for George Harrop there. Behind us, we've got some rare soundtrack stuff. I don't know if anyone has ever seen the movie starring David Carradine called Bound for Glory, but they've got the vinyl soundtrack to it, as well as right next to it, Zulu Dawn.
And the Rolling Stones. And Frank Zappa is on the wall here.
Oh,
even quite a collection.
Oh, look, and up there, there's some Australian artists. We've got Billy Field, Hunters and Collectors, and Big Pig.
Billy Field, whatever happened to him? He was huge.
Well, he owned recording studios, and for many years, and he was quite well done because of that.
When I was younger and he was on Countdown, we thought he was really great. He had a few hits. Yeah.
And the guy from the Whitlam just covered one of his songs called "I Wasn't in Love with You."
I remember that song very well. That was a huge hit for Billy Fields. Yeah.
Not so big with the guy from the Whitlands. And so we're going to go for a bit of a wander once we've got here. But I've got my eye, Richard. You might have noticed I went over there earlier and discreetly had a look at a piece of vinyl.
Yeah, on the wall opposite us, there's all the record bins are there.
Actually, it was in a crate, and it's actually at a very reasonable price. And it's
That's the name.
Yeah.
Record crate. Lots of the crates. Yes.
It's a 1987 house compilation released. It's an import record. It wasn't pressed in Australia, and it came in at the time just as Pump Up the Volume was coming in as an import. Pump Up the Volume hadn't been released as a single here in Australia, and I remember getting that, and it was very influential on me. I still have the copy, but I liked that record so much, I'm going to go buy a second vinyl copy of it.
That says something about you, Maynard. I'm not sure what, but it does say something about you.
Because I was a huge fan of getting along to the Horde and Pavilion dance parties, and pretty much all of the songs that are featured on that piece of vinyl were played at the Horde and Pavilion dance parties, and they hold very special memories for me. And I'd like to put a call out to, of course, I'll be doing one of my highly controversial interviews with George Harub while he's here. And if anyone has any questions for George, I'm going to be asking him a lot of questions, particularly about the shirts he wears. All sorts of questions are going to be coming his way. We're going to be really pinning him down when he gets in this country. He's going to have 1 hour of power with me.
Are you going to shirt front him?
That's one for our Australian listeners there. I'm certainly going to kick him in the poot, going to give a bit of a Putin, that's for sure.
That's right. Okay.
We're here at Paddock's Markets at the moment, and Richard and I have been wandering through, and who have we got here?
Jo Thompson.
Pleased to meet you, Jo. And I've been wandering past and I see a lovely selection of crystals. There's a faint smell of something nice in the air. Have you got something burning, have you?
Yes, we've got some incense burning at the moment. I think it attracts money.
Oh, and which is supposed to be the scent that does that?
I'm sorry?
What's the scent that does that?
Do you know what? I'm not sure. The incense companies don't tell us what they put in them.
Really?
But, myrrh is very good for attracting money. So.
And what's your favourite scent of all? I'm a bit of a ylang ylang fan because it's quite intense.
I would have to say coconut because it's invigorating and makes me hungry for all kinds of wonderful things.
Getting into the day.
Yeah, and it's tropical and relaxing and all of that kind of stuff. So,
I'm looking around here and you've got a lovely selection of crystals and opals and polished stones, lots of books that can help people. What's kind of moving at the moment? What is everyone coming up and being interested in?
That's a really good question. Yeah. It ranges all the time. We'll get a run on certain things. At the moment, the tumble stones are quite popular, and it just ranges from, what people want to give. Basically, it's gift ideas that people are wanting at the moment.
Because we're getting to Christmas. What's a tumble stone? Something that's been tumbled in a river or something? Or
it's actually a crystal, a chunk, a natural rock of crystal that's been put in a tumbler. It's actually like a cement mixer.
Oh, that's right.
So it just takes off the sharp edges, and they end up coming very smooth. You have to tumble them for a very long time to get them smooth, but you can carry them in your pocket, so they're quite easy to carry on you without hurting you or cutting you.
They look lovely. I know certain crystals are supposed to have certain qualities. Do certain tumble stones have certain qualities, like they'll attract or reject something?
Yes, definitely. That's definitely the case. So your different crystals will have colour therapy properties. So people will be attracted to certain colours, like boys like blue and girls like pink, because blue is protective and pink is all about love.
Oh, okay.
So we're naturally drawn to certain things. So all of your crystals will have the colour therapy, the way the geometric shapes are created by nature, so how they're naturally grown in nature, and all that kind of stuff. So
I see you've got one there that is a bit of an amber colour, and it's almost shaped a bit like a heart. Is that deliberate or not?
Yeah, so that's been carved into a heart shape.
Oh.
So again, they're beautiful gift ideas for people. Valentine's Day, or just when you're thinking of somebody or a friend that you love, then you can get the crystals in lots of different carvings and shapes and stuff like that. So the hearts, mean friendship and love and kindness.
I see you've got some figurines up there. I've had friends that have really been into treasure dragons. It looks like you might have a few up there. What sort of figurines, anything in particular that people want this time of year?
The boys always love dragons.
Do they? Oh.
The boys are always into that mythical, fire-fighting, protective type energy, the warrior type energy. So the boys love the dragon.
And would the wishing fairies necessarily be a younger girl, or?
Yep, the girls, the little girls in particular, they love to create wishes. So the fairy dust where they can actually make some magic of their own to happen.
Oh, okay.
So they love to do, some...
Do you get fair dinkum practising Wiccans here that come and get some of their supplies?
Some people, and so they have a very different purpose for what they're looking for. They're practising a certain way. They're wanting natural products. They're wanting things that are very ritualistic and part of nature, because they're interested in the cycles of nature.
What would be an example of one of those products?
We've got some Wiccan books. So the books are Wiccan. Candles are very popular, because when you're doing a ritual, it's about creating a pattern of events where you can increase the intention or the power of what you're wanting to manifest. So the more things that you do, such as lighting a candle or lighting an incense, the more intricate, the more detailed that you get with your practice, the more powerful it becomes, because your intent becomes more powerful.
I'm just wondering if also psychologically going through a ritual that had a number of steps has its own value as well.
That's exactly right. That's the whole purpose.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So even if it doesn't affect an outcome, just you going through that can make you feel better, like a cleansing process.
Yep, absolutely. That's exactly right. And so what we like to do is whatever anyone's belief is, we'll support them in that. So we don't judge what people do or how they do it. If they are able to get some relief or some assistance, we'll help them in that path.
Look, thank you very much for having a chat to us. How would we find you here in Paddy's Markets? What are you near if anyone was coming here to have a bit of a look?
Thanks for asking.
Because Richard led me here, and I'm trying to think how I would tell anyone where it was.
It's a very good question, because it's really complicated here. Awakening Lotus is located at 688 to 690 in Paddy's Markets. There are stand numbers. If you're heading towards the fruit and veggie section, the ladies' toilets is visible from our stand.
And you're almost diagonally opposite the Go Nuts stand.
That's it. So Go Nuts, a lot of people come down here because they're very health conscious.
So if you're walking along and you can smell nuts, kind of in that area.
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of nut shops here, but it's the biggest one.
Okay.
So it's good.
Well, thank you. I hope you have a good day. I think it's going to be a big Christmas for this sort of thing, perhaps.
Hopefully. I hope to help lots of people, so yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Richard, what a show!
I'm still a bit shaken after that ghostly experience, Maynard.
Yeah, look, if I get a poltergeist out of it, you're paying for the Catholic Church to come around and get rid of it.
And we've still got your disembodied voice going on in the background.
Yeah. the ghosts are here already. What? Oh, Maynard's got a wonderful app, ladies and gentlemen. He really does.
Oh, look, it's Osman. Look. That's Flying Cat.
Flying Cat. I recognise that sound.
What a show. I mean, we've all got to get our gear together and get our heads straight for the big conference.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's it's this time next week. In fact, this time next week it'll just be over. Anyway, it's soon.
It's going to be massive, isn't it? We've got people coming from overseas.
Oh, everywhere. And indeed, tomorrow morning, I'm going to be at Sydney Airport with my brother Jeff. We're picking up the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe and George Hrub in 2 minibuses, and we're driving them to Canberra.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So Canberra people, look out. SGU and George Hrub and the Saunders brothers are on their way.
Oh, that's going to be cool.
Yeah. And if you see me at the conference and you don't come up and be interviewed by me, shame on you.
That's right. Yes, give Maynard all your agendas.
You need more agendas, Maynard. You really do.
318 over and out, and then we're going to 319 next week, and it just keeps going.
Just keeps going on. Yeah,
a continuum.
Next year it'll be 7 years, and then
Really?
Yeah, I know. People have grown up and had whole lifetimes, during the course of the Skeptic Zone.
I haven't.
Well,
I was still as immature as ever.
If anyone who's seen the movie Interstellar will know about all the relativity and people aging at different rates and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, you'll age about 3 hours if you go see that movie.
You will. It's true. I went in, and when I came out, I was 3 hours older.
Oh, goodness.
Explain that, Skeptic.
Oh, you're freaking me out.
Anyway, Maynard, thanks for dropping by. Stefan, good to see you again. And until next week, this has been your Skeptic's Guide to the... No, hang on, no, that's the wrong one. And until next time, this is Richard Saunders signing off from Sydney, Australia.
The Skeptic Zone. It's the Skeptic Zone.
You've been listening to The Skeptic Zone. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for comments, contacts, and extra video reports.
This one is awesome. Okay, straight face, I can read it. Scientists will develop and... Damn it. I don't believe this. Okay. I'm sorry. Scientists will develop a new technology using sand. Come on. Ta-da! Sand.